All right, so we are at 1:30, so we can get started. Hello, everyone. So today, welcome to the episode number 2 of season 2 of our one shot show. Dheeraj, I have Window with me. You all are familiar with us. Today, we have a special guest, Powell, and he is going to walk us through a very, very interesting and very, very useful topic: how to find job with the help of AI. Right? He's pretty tech enthusiast as well as a nerd. He shares a lot of detailed articles on his publication, especially related to the AI, the e-commerce side of it, and how to just excel in general. And I'll let him introduce himself rather than me. So, Powell, over to you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. That's the first thing. And about me, yeah, long story short, I am a nerd. And I think that should be a one liner for me. I'm nerding about the AI, of course. And this is why we are today to talk about one of the things that I'm doing for some time. And I found it efficient and valuable and I think worth sharing. So, yeah, I'm writing about AI agents, building my own, experimenting a lot with many concepts and hypotheses and sharing this on my own Substack. Some are great, some others are bad, and I'm sharing them either way. So yeah, hey,
We all do that. We all do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's how we learn and grow. Fine.
Yeah, and also a couple of things that I want to highlight from your Substack, right? So I think I see like one of your popular posts is basically like how to build first AI agent and how you structure Claude MD and like how you use like code or Codex or local LLMs to basically run your business or like work on stuff. I think that's really interesting because those type of like posts that I actually kind of nerdy about as well. But yeah, can you talk about more of like what you've been doing so far? And then I noticed like you have your agent called Waze, and it's sort of like working as a personal AI agent that run your tasks, also build apps and support research and so on. Yeah, can you before I think the main agenda for today is basically how to build like job finder
Yeah.
agent. But I think from before we going there, we can talk about your AI agent and then how you've been using it so far in your workflow.
Mhm. Yeah. So where to start? I think a good thing, a good place to start. The things I'm doing and where and when it started is when I was thinking about some crazy ideas, like whether AI is able to do things for us, to execute for us in business, operations, logistic, marketing, and whatever. And that was actually back in 2024 because I read a very interesting experiment about AI that runs business, and it was I think in the Washington Post or something like that. I don't remember right now. It's 2 years ago. But then I was starting to do something like that, and it was you have to remember that it was ChatGPT 4 era, so it was too early
Right.
for agents. But something I loved for years now is automations, and I love Zapier, Make, and that kind of stuff. And I was doing this for everything actually. So what I did back then, I was trying to give AI, so bare bones chat, some kind of their hands, and by hands I mean connecting the LLM to the services on Zapier, so we can do things and maybe even do more complex. Of course, this we are talking about the deterministic outcomes sort of in Zapier and very early era, but this is how it actually started. But of course, my most recent thing, like you mentioned, my own personal agent Wiz, is something that I actually started back in October 2025. So, not that long ago. And, actually it originated with the same idea, how I can, connect it to some services here and there. And again, I was trapped in the thinking of very, very deterministic and very fixed scenarios. But it was also a time when Cloud Code, Opus 4.5 and 6 started to really change in the quality of the output. And I started to drift away from, these automation solutions to more agentic, which also
Same,
implies
same journey.
some chaos, right?
Yeah, same journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And long story short, here I am with a lot of things. One thing very important to mention is that my AI agent is more like personal assistant to me. So it is, general use kind of thing, and everything that is inside that is more specific, and something that we will be talking about today, like Job Finder, is kind of a project inside the agent that has its own sub agent, right? It's not it's very obvious thing to do nowadays, that we are splitting things to conserve and optimize token consumption and the quality of the output. So that's how it is. And from the October to now, I built a lot of crazy stuff. Some were fantastic and great, and are still developing them. And probably like 70% of what I was doing and building is in the trash right now. But that's also fine, because I always trying to take something out of it to build something new. So
Yeah.
I hope this is good. Long story short, about things that I'm doing and I'm done. And maybe one more thing I can add to this is about what I write about. I am writing about the experiments around the AI, LLMs, and different concepts. And of course, one of my best post is about how to build your first AI agents as a basics. But this is actually my another experiment, because I am not very good at explaining basics. So I just challenged myself to, because many people were asking how I did that, where I started, and so on and so forth. And I was like, I'm not even thinking about it, right? I'm just, going with the flow. So I'm forgetting very fast. And that's why I started to say, okay, let's try to create more basic thing, and we'll see how it goes. And for my surprise, it was, better than other things, because I don't know, maybe it's that there is a value, hopefully.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, for sure. That is value of that. And
Mm.
and is Wiz built on OpenClaw, or like built on Cloud Code mostly?
Sorry?
Your AI agent Wiz, is it built on OpenClaw, or is it built on Cloud Code?
No, it is. I started with Cloud Code as a foundation for this. I like the models and that kind of stuff. I didn't, use the frameworks like OpenClaw or Hermes. Although I am, of course, observing them on GitHub. But it is kind of a different thing. I would call my agent custom, because it is very, very custom. Although I started with Cloud Code, but right now, after a while, I very quickly realized I cannot rely on one harness and one set of models. So I made my agent model agnostic, which means I can switch between Codex, Cloud Code, Pi, and local lens, and that kind of stuff. Anyways, that's drifting away from the main course.
No. I mean, I think you are on the right track. I would say a lot of us would like to learn about that stuff as well, because nowadays, with this whole usage limits fiasco going on, and kind of a war between Codex and Claude, it totally makes sense to make it independent. And I mean, once it has started working for you, that's what I believe in. And then once it is working for one, you can optimize. So I mean, when you say custom, Paul, can you shed a little more light about what does custom mean over here? Is it just the abstraction of the, for example, right now the agent is more or less a markdown file in many of these harnesses, right? So is it something that you have custom coded in a Python or some programming language, or is it the abstraction of the providers like Claude and Codex, or Codex is offering GPT or Gemini, right? So is it just the abstraction that you're talking when you say custom, or is it more like custom built?
Long story short, custom built, which actually means the different architecture from what you will find in the open source frameworks. This is the main difference between one and the other, right? Because I'm not building on top of something, but I started to build something, then, OpenClaw pop up, but I said, okay, I'm too late into this to, just to switch to something else. Plus, I like to, doing my own things. So this custom in a sense that I built it from scratch, and the architecture is for sure very, very different from what the other frameworks has. And I would say it is more aligned to my needs. Basically, this is what it is. And when you are a builder and you want many, many things, it is kind of trying to mirror what you need, and the architecture itself, it also is kind of changing to this. So this is how it is. Of course, the custom in terms of model switching and that kind of stuff is also a thing, but you have to understand that it is more like it came from my need, because we all heard about the Anthropic ups and downs. The usage is that, the other day is that. So that's why it was my need to say, okay, Anthropic is doing some really weird stuff. So let's see how Codex is behaving on the same architecture. So just switching to see the difference. And the difference is noticeable, and I could test many things around. So
I think like 100% agree with you. Like in the last couple of episodes or last couple of weeks, Window and I have been also discussing about like this whole weirdness thing going on with like this whole usage limits of Claude. One week it will work fine, the other week, like last week for me, it was like completely useless. Like the entire max plan was giving me exact kind of usage that I was generating with $20 plan of Codex, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like super crazy. Last week I was like super pissed. Like I was talking to Window as well, that I like just move away from it now, because max plan is also not producing anymore. So I mean that brings your point very valid, that when we builders are like put to the corners and forced with restrictions and things, then the customization starts, until unless that there is no need, like we try to like use it. But I mean, like let's not digress over there, and there could be like some other topic for some other live. But let's hear from you that now we have a lot of people out over here. What could they take away, like once they stay throughout the course of it, and then like we can get into the real meat of today's topic, which is like Job Finder Agent.
So I think people will get the process, the architecture, and the flow of this. I think this is something nowadays that is increasing in value. So when you have a creative idea and you have process behind that, I think there is more value in that rather in something ready. Because I don't know what you are thinking about that, but I'm thinking that we are in the era when the execution part is easier and easier and faster than ever. And what really matters is how creative and how good your idea is, rather than how will you shoot this. So this is what I'm usually trying to give my readers. I'm trying to give them not the full solution, rather than the process how to get there with all the tools that you might have. So this is what I'll try to do this as well.
Nice. Thank you. And I really like, I mean, those of you who have joined, I've shared the link of Pavel's Substack. Go and check it out. One thing you will notice is, amazing visual aesthetic over there. Like the way you take it into a different world. Like the moment we start using or going through your Substack, looks like a different world altogether. Yeah. So please go ahead and subscribe to him. And Pavel, over to you. We can share the screen and start going from here.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so today I will be showing you one of my little inventions that I've done. Let me share my little screen and I will go from there. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
As you can see, local files, right? Everything is local and everything is in HTML nowadays, and
Yes,
no
exactly.
difference
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's how you do.
Yeah. Agent era. Mm. So, a little bit of context why I even started this. This is the same thing that I described a couple of minutes ago. I maybe a little bit different because it wasn't my need; it was need of my friends and family that they were not maybe actively looking for something, but they were looking for a change of the job. And one day, it was just another casual discussion that what is the pain point when you're looking for something new or something that is fitting you. It's not actually the part when you're applying on something, but the part to find a really good fit for you, not only for the role wise, but also skills, experience, what you want, whether the culture of the company fits you, and so on and so forth. So many different moving parts, and and above that, it's also you might have this role for over the years, but the definition of the role might be different from company to company, and that might be misaligned from what you really want, right? So, for example, when you are a marketing manager for 10 years for a couple of different companies, and you're looking for another marketing manager role, you quickly find out that it is so different flavors and colors there that it may means definitely something different that you want or you have experienced it. So, long story short, what I done, because it was a time when I was building my own agent, I just did another experiment out of it and asked to build. I built together process, project, and sub agent to do that. The first part, so to find something that is really, really aligned. And send it daily in the morning to email of my friend and my family, so they will get everything at glance. What roles are open, what companies, why it is good for you, why it might be bad for you, and so on and so forth. So many things. So a number of iterations for this is, I don't know, probably hundreds. Anyways, but here we are today, and that's how I started, with simple email report with different sources. Yeah. One last thing is that it also wasn't relying on one source, but it was relying on many sources, because you have LinkedIn, you have other things that might be very specific, and also something that I've done from the beginning was that if you are targeting very specific company, like, I don't know, Apple, Anthropic, OpenAI, something like that, and you're looking at a role inside that company because, I don't know, you like it, like culture or something like that, you can also tell the agent that. And the agent, above the sources that is looking for, you will also look on the careers page of this specific company to give you something that might be fitting for you. Anyways, so yeah. Job alerts. This where it started with a very specific roles, where very specific things just for your needs. Not like 1 million different job posting. Only like 5 to 10, so you can easily read it on the morning brief in 3 minutes and just decide on the spot. Yeah, this is good. This is bad. This something, right? This is what I was aiming for. So the bar for reading this and processing is really, really low, but you are getting overview and feeling whether it is something for you or not. So this is where it was. And the whole thing was, of course, in time it was building, but it was kind of more and more blocks of this process were developed. But one of the most important was the first one, the profile, how to build the profile of what you really want. And yeah, because this is how the agent knows who you are, what's your experience, your portfolio, and everything like that. Plus, on top of that, there has to be some kind of your needs and targets, right? Because when you are looking for a job, you have this definition of your role and what you want to do, but then you have to tell someone what you really want to do, right? That's what I was mentioning, that even if we name the role the same, different companies will probably define it a little bit differently. That's why it is very important not only to give an agent, the context of your portfolio, CVs, and that kind of stuff, but also your needs. Then, of course, the search. Again, I don't want to go maybe too deep into the technicalities, but I started with the Playwright. It is the skill that is enabling the agents to look for something in the web. Of course, there is classical web search that every agent right now has, and I also added the Firecrawl very early, because if you don't know what Firecrawl is, it's another tool. Actually, it's a tool that is also scrapping web pages and everything that is suitable for agents to read, and is very, very efficient. I found Firecrawl very, very good for that kind of stuff. Then we have scoring. Of course, scoring might be very different from people to people. Emails, depending again on the needs and the reply. So this is something that I also added very early, because if you ever build something in the AI, like early vibe coding or something like that, you probably know that the first version is probably not the version that you want. That's why I added this little thing, because I knew that the first I fire it, there's probably will be the feedback that, oh no, this is not what I wanted. This is not the roles that I wanted. This is not companies that I wanted, and so on and so forth. So I added the reply option, that people who are added to this project can just reply to the email that, hey, I don't want to see this or that, or change something. Maybe I want higher salary, or maybe different role, different position, and so on and so forth. An agent in this specific project will learn this and change your profile, adjust it to what you said, and give you better search in the future, and also learn how to make it more usable for you. So
That's very nice. I mean, like you were using the replies as a learning in a lifetime feedback, right? So I mean that makes it much more usable in various time to come, right? And does it like adapt itself the way the email comes in? So okay.
Yeah, so this is a script in Python that when you reply to the email, it will of course get a specific email from the people who are allowed, by the way, and take your feedback as something that it has to change in terms of the search profile and other things. And then it will change another file, which is profile.md. I will also show you this, and adjust for the future. So, the another automation will fire the same, but with the changed data inside, basically. Right. I'm trying to, simplify how it is. So, yeah, this is how it works. The files. I also show you the contents of the files, but the project itself is quite simple. And if anyone is in the agent era, you probably know that every agent has to have MD files, JSONs, and HTMLs, and probably some scripts in Python. And this is what it is actually in a brief.
And by the way, like, everyone watching who does not understand what Python is or what coding is, right? So it does not, I mean, like, you don't need to be scared of when you are building all these agents. I mean, like, the AI is going to help you write these Python scripts. You just need to share the intent, as like, Paul was showing, that tech does not belong or stack does not belong, but more like, how you want to like clarify the problem statement is much more useful, right, and much more effective than like understanding any piece of coding or a technical aspect. So you don't need to like be scared of that there is a Python file over here. More or less, you can basically have the AI write it for you in more general cases.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's exactly what I did here, of course, because when I'm building something and something like that, what I really care about, whether the output that I'm getting is valuable or not. And everything between is of course also important. And when you are technically sophisticated, you can go into this and also change yourself if you want,
Right.
but you don't have to. If you have agent, if you have cloud code, coders, whatever, you can just ask what you want and it will create everything for you. So of course the scripts and everything like that is there, but it doesn't mean that you have to create them by yourself. That's not a way what it is about. The scoring layer, I don't want to go very deep here because this is very specific to people,
Right.
and people are scoring and prioritizing things differently. But this is how it normally looks like. There's a scoring system that is also kind of a gate. So if something is below some score, it will not go through to your email because it is just below something, and this is how it is. But this is very important because we want only the best of the best job posting out there and not only a mediocre one. That's why I created the scoring layer, and also it is a way to objectify everything. So it is not only my vibing or emotions or anything like that. It is really things that we agreed it is.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, and how the agent learns from the replies. It could be whatever actually, but these are some of the examples, like more of the roles like this, or broaden the roles like this, or maybe salary floor is this, or maybe the location should be that or that. Also, you will see something like this, and on my demo you will also see this, the broken link. Why is it here? Because on my early iterations, the problem I had, that's why I started to use Firecrawl. It was that the pure web search for agents, it is not very good for searching jobs because it came out with some very old links on the very old things on the internet that is not valid anymore. But for some reason, it probably found them because it was very high on the ranking or anything like that. And yeah, that's why it is also here. And that's also one of the feedbacks I was giving it at the beginning, that, hey, this is not working.
Right.
Fix.
Nice. And I mean, like, I think in many, Window, go ahead.
I have one question. So on your files earlier that you mentioned, like you have memory state.json, right? So whenever the user replies, is it going to be updated towards the state.json as well on top of the profile.md?
Yeah,
because
so basically,
I can see the state.json. It works like the logs, right? The history of like what jobs that have been seen, or like what jobs have been, let's say, apply or like a crawl. Then yeah, I think it makes sense. Like whenever there is a change, or like whenever there is a eval, then you can apply the change into the state.json or like as a memory.
Yeah, but one thing, maybe too deep here, but I just want to explain it a little bit more. So the difference between the memory and the profile that is changing is that when the script is running with my reply that I'm not distributing something or salary or whatever, the record is saved to the memory and the profile is changing. But when I am changing something, it is also grabbing the memory. So it knows the history of the changes, and it can also use that as a good context for the future and give you a better profile in the end. But it is only used in that one very specific use case in terms of of the history that you are the history of the changes that you are doing. When the automation is going in the morning for no new job search, it is not reading the memory because it is useless for the automation that is going for very specific roles, right? So that's I just wanted to draw a line between the difference between these two and how different scripts are writing and reading different files here. So this is
and I think, like, what we on the one shot show as well, like we have we keep on repeating this. Even in season 1, I think it was like lesson 8, we try to show that there is a difference between memory and learning. So I mean, memory without learning um, will not help you that much when you are building agents. So you have to basically have a learning process baked in with the memory too. And the way that you are explaining, remember, window, we were talking about how our competitor intelligence agent is growing over and over whenever like a competitor research happens. So there is like a memory that is being built, which is like a memory layer, and then there is a separate learning layer which is also evaluating, and then inputting and then adjusting the agent behavior. But the execution, like Powell, you are saying, execution remains dumped from all this learning and the memory, because execution is happening based on the current very current state of it. So I think, like, whenever you, I mean, those of you who are watching, basically whenever you are building these agents, I mean, once you get the agent working for you with the intended behavior, next step is to put in memory, and then next step is to close the loop with the learning as well. That's when like things starts to really work for you in a way that you don't need to be babysitting it always whenever there is something that is happening around it. Maybe that explains like in more it ties everything together that we are discussing over here.
Yeah, thanks for that. I would only add one thing, that in the agent and memory and project memory, less is really more. Less is more. Yeah, less is more here, because you have to be very specific to what agent is doing, right? And of course, there's a difference between when you have a personal assistant agent and a very specific agent like this. But yeah, less is more. Less is more, definitely. Better outcomes. Let's go. Yeah, the costs, of course, very important thing, the token optimization and which model to use. Of course, here you can see Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus, because I like to use Cloud Code and Anthropic models, but it is not only that. Many even local LLMs, small local LLMs, might be something good for filtering and structure extraction. So this is also good. But usually I am trying to use the middle model like Sonnet to get the most value out of it. We don't have to. So the outcome. So my advice here is, whatever you're doing, try to avoid the strongest models if you can, because they are very, very expensive in terms of usage and tokens and whatever. Yeah, and the last thing I want to show you is what it does and what it doesn't. So it is very. I draw a line when what it is and what it isn't. So, for example, it is not a robot that is applying for me, and this is because it comes from my, I don't know, ethics or just how I think about the AI. I believe that it could be a helper, supporter, but in the end, I want to make this decision, right? And when we are looking for a job, I think it is very, very important. It is not messaging anyone. It is not scraping something, that is behind some walls. Also, because it probably is because of something. It doesn't upload anything to the third party, or doesn't make hiring decisions or anything like that. Of course, you can always ask it for something. It is more like it it gives you a paved kind of a road to what you really want, and give you this little push to do it faster and more efficiency, I would say. This is what it does. Yeah. And the smallest, that's actually something that I actually told you. And there's a little bit more, but maybe I will go to the demo itself, because I don't know if we are willing to go for the Python scripts or something like that. And I think that's obvious that agent has to be connected via some skills or services or anything to your email. So it has ability to send, receive, read, and so on and so forth. So let me switch my window real quick. Yeah. Can you see it?
Yep.
So this is because, as I said, it evolved from only the email to being a little bit more. I will tell you why, but basically, this is what AI agent. This is
Oh,
the
sorry.
most
Is
important.
there any way you can zoom in like a bit?
Mm,
Maybe likely. Yeah. Okay. This is better. This is better.
okay. So yeah, this is one of the most important thing. Of course, normally because I like to have things raw, and I'm not, caring about viewing things nicely like this. So I'm not even uh, at the first. I didn't even have something like this. But for purpose of the demo, I'm giving you, the glimpse what it is, what kind of information it has. Also, in a short version, I will also show you the file that is. Uh, more agent ready, I would say. But how I created the profiles in the first place? So how I created them, I fed it with everything that was valuable in terms of looking for a job. So of course, links to LinkedIn. If someone has a blog portfolio or some case studies on the internet or anything like that, I fed it there. And on top of that, as I said, also the target roles and the rules. So what the person really wants from it, where to work, and the salary, and everything that really matters and might not be in the curriculum vitae or any other things. Yeah, and this is a very high level thing of the profile. Then, of course, this is something that I pre-recorded with the with Mock Data, but something that is coming every morning is morning search. And before I click that, one thing why we cannot do that right now, it is because for me, it is running every day at around 6 a.m. And the runtime for this automation is around 30 minutes because there is many scripts and many layers of that. And, in the end, we want the best outcomes. And it is very lengthy automation. That's why it is, very early in the morning. And then I wake up at 7 a.m. ish and get, everything I need. Anyways, I will show you how it looks like. So the email is actually very easy. The structure, I would say it maybe changed a little bit from iteration to iteration, but I really liked how easy it is to read the whole thing. Of course, normally the roles are hyperlinked, so when you're clicking, you are going to the job from the email, and then you have some things like why it fits, the concerns, the next steps if needed, anything like that, and of course there is reply. So this is something that I added to the every email template. So when my friends or family wanted to change something, they just reply to that. And actually, this is another funny thing why I added that. It was because when I was working on the first iteration, I was annoyed because I had so many DMs from my friends and family that, hey, can we change that? Can we do that? Can we, and the whole wall of the things. And of course, I love my family. I love my friends and so on. That is not about that, but it was about their workload. And I was, going back and forward. That's why I created this, because this gave my family and friends a way to adjust this machine to what they want. And it worked better than I thought. But the email was only the first thing. Then I was building on top of that. And on top of that was the Job Tracker. Job Tracker is a version of an email, but in a web experience, I would say. Because what I found also is that when you're having an email, you're scanning it, sometimes you are just forgetting about what what I would like to apply for, and some kind of measurements, anything like that. It was just an email, read and forget. Sometimes this what it is. So I created a tracker, and tracker is kind of more advanced option here, but optional. It has some things that I would say develop this even further and give it a lot more flavor, I would say. First of all, I am number guy, so I love to have some measurements. How many jobs I applied for? What is the response ratio? That kind of stuff. The top source, even which is which has the highest accepted job posting, so many things like that, and also all the job postings from the email are also landing here in a very simple and very fast, I would say, decision making app. That is that if you want to apply for there, you can click the interested, and the app will tailor your base curriculum vitae to fit to the role and company that it is doing. Of course, it is not making anything up. It is just focusing on things that are important for this role. So, for example, the same example I'm giving from the beginning, when I'm marketing manager and I want to work on a company that is products for B2B. And for my experience, I had that. So what it is doing is just focusing on this experience rather than giving everything at once. Of course, it is not cutting, experience for B2C or anything like that. It is leading it, but it is trying to expose more the experience that is fitting to this role. This is what is happening. And when I click on that, you will see what is changing. It is giving you the whole change log, I would say. About that, and this is what gets said. Of course, again, this changed things is only we are seeing. Then you can open a web. Yeah, you can see that, and you will have all the highlighted things are things that are adjusted to this role. Of course, this had HTML, but normally it will be giving you PDF that's ready to send. Right.
Nice.
So this way it is doing. And then what I want you to also to see is the reply, how it works from the process perspective. So I also created, something here. So when you reply, for example, here I have already replied for this email with these executive assistant roles. And there is, information that I applied for Revolut and Autodesk, but I'm not interested in this. Too much warehouse logistics, yeah, right. And also, some more. When you send the reply, it will identify which things are needs to be changed and which things needs to be also adjusted into the job tracker and the future. And then on the profile, everything that I said is a little bit updated, a little bit because I give it a little bit information. So on the some of these things are changed as you think, as you see, the salary rise, the things that it needs to avoid, like warehouse logistic roles, and so on and so forth. So this is the next time it run, the job tracker will only give you something that you want, and of course. Something I also have here, I have to click the button, but normally it is real time. It will be also updating the job tracker for you, so you don't have to click, but you can just go there and see that there's no job posting that you are not interested in. That's basically it, and also you can see the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a quick thing.
Yeah, that's very impressive, Pavel. I think it's really cool. I would say in terms of like hunting the jobs, and is it like customized to a particular user? Like user can like reply all this, and then and what is the layer behind? Like where are you hosting it? Is it like on your local system or somewhere else?
So I started this as a local web app, and because my agent is living on a separate machine, So what it does, it just create a local server that is, running this, and when you are connected to the same network or have a VPN, you have also access to that. That was my initial thing that I did for the job tracker. But over time, I started to have more needs to have this more accessible, and I also have my own server on Digital Ocean that it also my agent has access to this and also accommodate little things like that, so I can have an access from all over the world to do something like that. Sorry, you asked a very short question and I answered very long.
No. I think that makes sense, how this gets accessed, because sometimes we are so used to working in the Cloud Code terminal or like Codex, right? We forget about that. If we have to make it accessible outside to someone else, we would have to deploy it somewhere. And sometimes, like people who are non-technical, they would not understand what those deployment means. Like, then there is a whole trail of Cloud Code session going around, like where it is suggesting, like, put it on Cloudflare, put it on Railway. So many options starts coming up. So just wanted to understand, like, where did you put and this up? Because like I also, Window, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, you can continue. I also have some thoughts as well.
No, I mean, I was just saying, like, I also have this Oracle servers, couple of them. I mean, like, and then like I also deploy majority of my stuff over there as well. Just that it is accessible to others, whatever I'm getting benefit out of. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Window, go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because like I didn't expect like you build the whole UI basically to access the agents because like same as what Diraj told recently. Basically, because like we've been using Cloud Code inside of Terminal or like you use inside of the VS Code extension. So I was expecting more like a skill, maybe skill where it extract the profile and then send and connecting to Gmail and so on, and then it runs and eventually share you the email, right? But again, like but again, it's not really accessible to many of people and non-tech people. So I think, I think that's awesome what you are building here because you build the UI, maybe you hosting it somewhere, and then you share it to the user so they can just click it or like maybe upload their own profile and then it just it's just like a clickable every time. So I think that's like how I think that's cool where you make it more accessible for people to use.
Yeah, for the record, actually, because most of the things I'm doing in the CLI, in the Cloud Code or Codex. I'm not even using the apps because I don't know. I'm just not the app guy. I would rather use the CLI, and the CLI for me is perfect because I as you said, I can do everything that I just show you inside of the CLI, and that's totally fine. But the difference for this is that remember that I started to create it for people who are not in the AI at all.
Right.
So I had to give it a little bit of UI, so to speak. So it is more accessible to them, so they understand. And that's why I started with a very low-hanging fruit, like sending the morning email report, because this is something that everyone knows how to use emails, right? Just open and read. And the same with the job tracker, because you know how to go to the web page and use very simple UI and drag and drop things if you need, or click on it here and there. So yeah, this is why I built a design around that. But when I'm building something for myself, I have to admit I don't care a lot about how it looks like or how good it is.
Exactly.
I prefer to have things that are working rather than looking nice. That's, I would say, that's my thing. So yeah. Remember that it is something that I've done for my closest one rather than for myself. But
yeah, it's similar thing. Yeah. Whenever like somebody who is non-technical, like who want to like just consume it as a consumer, it's very hard to give them like a Claude and just ask them to start using it. So I think that completely makes sense. And in fact, like I was just telling you that, I also built something similar for one of the guy, like, I mean, a very close friend of mine who had like a kind of a terrible time, like searching for the job. So I mean, like it was more or less similar. Maybe like I'll share just a glimpse of it. I just got it up and running. It has not been running like for about almost 2 months, and it's kind of a similar thing that you have. And the funny thing is that how uh, you know builders around the world are thinking about the similar problems and building some solutions around it. So I mean, like for me it's look like this kind of a UI where like you can onboard, like
Mhm.
you have all your customization as well. I mean, somebody can onboard itself themselves, like what kind of a roles they want to target and
Yeah.
all. So once that is done, you could have like various resumes, like you can basically upload your resume here. Then what would be skill gaps based on the roles, so it gives you a mapping of it as well, that like, okay, this is your kind of current strengths, and this is like the gaps that you have for the roles you are trying to apply. And then like more or less like a training coach around it, what you should learn, what should not.
Mhm.
And then more on the hunt side of it, it's more like similar approach. I have like an NA10 pipeline running behind the scenes that gives me, okay, this is something that is very much kind of high relevance to my
Mhm.
profile or my job roles. And this is more like a board where I can apply. These are the ratings, like 80%, 88% match to my profile. So something like, very similar to that you have built. And like I also deployed it for my friend, like who wanted to like really go ahead and do it, because earlier I gave him like that whole CLI version. Sat
Oh.
with him like for a couple of hours to make him understand. And then I asked him what is going on. And 10 days later, I mean, I don't understand anything. So I'm not like
Yeah.
using. Then I built him this. And the best thing is like now it's like, so, I mean, the UI looks complex over here, but then like once you have the methodology behind the scenes figured out, it's easy to work with Claude or Codex to build these UI. So I mean, you don't need to be like a coder or something behind the scenes. Just clarity of thought should be there. So yeah, pretty cool to see
Um,
something similar.
I have one question for you, Pavel. So you mentioned you use tools for Firecrawl and Playwright, right? Can you kind of like explain the main difference when you use Firecrawl, when you use Playwright? Because like Playwright is more like the browsing system, while the Firecrawl is more like the crawling pages on across internet.
Yeah.
So
So
when certain request that runs, let's say I want to find give me a list of jobs, right? Then yeah, how each tools actually differentiate itself when it is running.
yeah. So this actually multi-layer tier system for the web search, because
Yeah.
the Firecrawl started as a fallback for the Playwright, because Playwright sometimes have difficulties to get some information from different websites like LinkedIn, something like that. And then Firecrawl had no problems with this, because it is just going to the website and is trying to
Yeah.
get all the information from it and prepare it for the agent. So it is preparing the JSON file for the agent, so it can read the contents of the web page. Of course, Parade also has that kind of functionality, but the difference is that first of all, Firecrawl is way faster than the
Right.
Playwright. Lighter to use, that's for sure. And for my humble opinion, it gets the data from the pages better in terms of the how much the data it is
Right.
grabbing from the job
Right.
posting rather than the Playwright. Playwright is still very good, but again, it failed me many times, too many times. That's why I was trying to find another solution. Nowadays, something that I haven't mentioned, but it might be something interesting for some people as well. There is many different skills that you can add to your agent for the browser or something like that. But something that I've actually created myself is to use AppleScript and Safari, and it also, for my surprise, works really well. And I am surprised because, it is kind of a weird way to, create a flow for the agent who is trying to get some data from web. But, oh my God, I mean, Apple Script has, the second renaissance or something, but it is working really, really well. And
Nice.
if you are struggling with getting some data and you don't want to pay for Firecrawl, yeah, Apple Script plus Safari is amazing also.
Nice. Yeah, I think I mean I use Tavily now. Earlier I was using a combination of Firecrawl and Perplexity for job search thingy.
Maybe.
But then now I mean Window has also shifted to Tavily. He inspired me to move over there so that you can remove two MCPs and combine both of them into one, and you get 1,000 credits free every month from Tavily.
Yeah.
So that way is at least for small scale, I mean, it is usually free for me. I don't even go beyond 500 any month that I've seen as a pattern.
I'm
So
I'm
it
s-
makes
I'm
it free.
I'm already hitting the limit for Thankfully, so I just paid
I'm
for
sure you
the pay
at,
per usage.
at your scale you can. So I mean you won't mind paying them, right? All right. So yeah, we're almost there towards the close of it. Thank you so much, Pavel, right? And just for the audience, if they have to start on this journey, what's one, kind of a baby step that they can take over the next week or couple of weeks, that
Yep.
they can, either replicate this if they have this similar problem, or kind of go into the direction. Yeah.
I would say start small. That's, I think, the best thing that I could say. So, because today I showed you some things that I'm working for some time right now, and I have some feedbacks, and it might even look like too much for many people. So if anyone wants to do something like this, just start as simple as it could be, with some really simple automations to, for example, send you an email or, I don't know, message or something like that every day, maybe with one job, and try to, iterate. Because as I was saying, in the AI, the first version is probably not the version that you want. So yeah. Tryouts, experimentation. This is what you want, and start really, really small. What you want, because here I'm showing you the profile analysis, changing this profile modifications, memory, and so on and so forth. You could talk about hours about that, but actually you don't need that. You just need the idea what you want. If you have your dream job or dream role or something like that, maybe start with this, right? And tell your agent to find this very specific role on the internet, and it will try. And then you will get something. You will say, oh no, this is not what I wanted, and you will iterate from this. I'm also sharing the template and handoff with something that I was talking today about the fights and everything. So if someone wants some more ready things, or things that you can use, I will also sharing this, and you can start with foundation, I would say.
That'll be really good. That'll be really helpful to everyone.
Yeah. And also I think based on the files that you share, I think the best possible case that people can start is just build your profile and then connect your agent with web search, whether it is Firecrawl or the web built-in search of the AI agent itself, and then just run it. And then eventually you get the outputs, or maybe later you want to connect with Gmail that send you email that you can do. But again, I think the real essence is basically evaluating the outputs from the AI agent and then keep tweaking it, keep refining it until you get the precise jobs that you really want based on your current state and your profile and your CV as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of like the the thing that you can start with, really small.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is connecting very nicely to what I was saying on the beginning, that nowadays there's no problem with the execution and building and creating stuff.
Right.
The thing is how much creative your idea is, how structured it is, how much thought you put into that. And this is what really matters here. And it doesn't matter if this is a job finder or anything like that.
Right.
If you really have a great idea, I think you can do that. Of course, though, your expectation should be low, so don't expect to have something out of one prompt. But it is possible. But it is possible to get something really good out of AI agents and everything like that. You have to just have some idea and some direction, and I think it would be great.
Yep. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining in today. And thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thanks for having me.
See you next week, same time, Wednesday, 10 a.m. for the next episode of One Shot Show.
Awesome,
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for sharing this. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Appreciate
Thank you,
Thanks a
everyone,
lot.
for joining.
Have a great week. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.